Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWorkBoxing. I want to take some time out to discuss something that's going on in the sport. And it's been going on for a while. But I just think that it's good that people hear this. And if you could take something away from it, put it in your rucksack and march on, oh well. As they say, eat the fish and spit out the bones, per se. But I was reminded of something that I felt over and over again, following and watching a couple of these boxers. And that is, let me tell you what reminded me of it. I was listening to one of the larger platforms, big influential platforms, and they had a guest. And I used to rock with this guest. But it's real funny because I hadn't seen him in a while because I just unsubscribe. I don't watch his stuff. I don't, and I'll get around to telling you why I stopped watching it. But he appeared on this show and he was talking, and they got to talking about Bam Rodriguez. And one of the first major points that he really brought up about Bam was, oh, but is he really Mexican? Is he truly this? Is he truly that? Is he getting embraced? Like, just totally sidestepping the success that the young man has had, and really not harping on the skill set that he has and the excitement and the, I guess, all around boxing acumen that he's been able to display, if you will. Sidestepping all of his accomplishments and really harping on the fact that, is he gonna be a star in this? And they tend to do this when it comes to certain fighters, where they can't just fully confront your success head on and give you your salutes and your praises. They actually have to move the goalposts elsewhere and get the attention on something else. So this guy in particular was making a big deal about how Bam is a Mexican, but he's a Mexican American and not a true Mexican, because they're not looking at it like this. And I was reminded as to why I really stopped watching it. And the show started taking a turn for a second. 15-20 minutes, it went off into this rabbit hole of being from a place, born in a country, and then being an American and garnering support. Now, there are some nuances to it. We see it with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. That'll probably be the biggest one. But if you look at it, everybody's giving Ryan all this credit and all this praise and saying, oh man, this is the only one without Tank. It's like, well, the only real successful one that Ryan had was with Tank. But they don't say, oh, the one that Ryan did with Tank. But I digress. It's something that goes on with certain fans when it comes to certain boxers that they like. And I've experienced this a little bit with Edwin De Los Santos when I started, really starting to do videos and starting to talk about him or whatever, and I just noticed that it's a disconnect with the fan base. I definitely noticed it with Subriel Matias. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna be stubborn and I'm gonna keep pushing this envelope on Subriel, because he's a champ that was doing everything that he needed to do, and I don't think that people were acknowledging him as being one of the most avoided fighters, and it was a real reason why people didn't want to fight him. And now, in hindsight, you'll say, oh, well, he has 2 losses. Well before that, he was not garnering the attention for the noise he was making and how difficult it would be to unseat him, regardless to what we saw with Liam Parra. But Subriel being Puerto Rican, Edwin De Los Santos being Dominican, I experienced it with Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I experienced it with Senicia Estrada. I hadn't really experienced it with Amanda Serrano, but it's something to where people want you to acknowledge and praise their boxer or their favorite fighter for what they're able to do and what they're able to accomplish. But it's only to the extent to where you can't receive any favor for pointing out the obvious. What do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? Listen, just because somebody is from a different country and they have an organic fan base, let's just say like Edgar Berlanga in the Puerto Ricans, just because he's Puerto Rican and he's from a country, and I'm not an Edgar Berlanga fan per se. I wish him well, I wish him success. You know, I know these young brothers, you know, they need to make their bread inside boxing. It's a brutal sport. They get hit in the head for a living and it can end at any point in time. So I wish him well, but I'm not like a fan. Like, I don't pick up the pom-poms and I don't really push the envelope because I think that he needs some things that he needs to develop. So I'm just gonna use him as an example. Just because you're a Puerto Rican and you rock with Edgar Berlanga, you should not allow your fandom of Edgar Berlanga to shun people that are not Puerto Rican who support Edgar Berlanga. And we can take Edgar Berlanga out of that equation and we can insert Jesse Ben Rodriguez. We can insert Edwin De Los Santos. We can insert Elvis Rodriguez. We can insert Janicia Estrada. We can insert Amanda Serrano. We can insert whatever boxer you rock with. We can insert them. But I do really see that this is a real issue when it comes around to a lot of the Latino fighters, just like Teofimo probably would be the best example. With Teofimo and his fans, they will play and allow Teofimo to play this race card. They allow him to play this game where he can say certain things and talk about certain people in a certain kind of way. And when you actually acknowledge what he actually do, it makes you look bad because it's looking like you're bailing out somebody that doesn't even care that you're a fan. For me, it's, you know, it's a little weird because I try to be a boxing purist. I try to give all these guys a fair handshake in my assessment. I keep it all the way funky, 10 times 10, 100%, nothing more, nothing less. When I actually assess them and I really look at what they bring to the table and what they've been able to do. But this guy that was on that show, man, he has to learn that when race or ethnicity or background or nationality, whatever, which one of these cards you ever want to pull, when it's not something that is toxic, it's not something that's blatantly obvious like some of the things that Tio said, we need to leave it alone. Because what you do, and I've seen this, because when I was over there watching him and checking in and saying, hey man, what's going on, knowing that, you know, he's in tune with these Dominican fighters, like what's going on with De Los Santos, what's, you know, who's the next up and coming, who's this and this and that. They made it a point to make it to let me know that I don't belong over there, or I don't belong talking to them, or that I was an outsider. And I've noticed that a lot of the Latino fan bases, they do that. They will let you know. They were trying to do it to me with Subriel Matias, but they couldn't. You know why? Because a lot of people really didn't know how to promote or what to say about Subriel Matias. I just kept it straight down the middle with what the man was doing and how he was rising and how I seen everybody pretty much maneuvering around him or making business decisions to not fight him. But I had a lot of people that would, they still do it. They come on there and try to check you about something about him, like, because I guess they have that same nationality or they're part of that they feel like they have more credence to be able to correct or, you know, let you know what it really is, like, because they share the same, ethnicity, background, race, whatever you want to call it, or whatever card you want to use. And that's not right. Why? Because you'll alienate and you'll turn people off. I know I was with a couple of them. And I'm like, well, you know, ain't nobody, like, the powers that be are not gonna really push this guy. Why? Because he's a threat to their guy. So not only do you have people that are not gonna give him a fair shake, you have people that's gonna create narratives about him. And it's almost like some people are never ever satisfied when it comes to certain boxers, but they are allowed. They will co-sign, they will support their boxers getting a soft touch, or their boxer doing stuff that's not morally right, saying things out of his mouth that's not right. But then when it comes to your boxer, when they actually do it and somebody points it out, you will cause fans to not speak up and speak out or support your boxer because you want to be on some nationality ties or racial ties, you know, and that kind of needs to stop in the sport. You know, I hope if you're listening, I hope you understand what I'm saying. But as boxing fans, I don't care what nationality you are, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what ethnicity you are. Boxing is boxing. Some people don't look at all of these boxers with rose-colored glasses. Some people don't look at these boxers looking to just tear down and shame. Some of us look at these boxers like, oh, we give them honest assessments. Some of us won't even pull the trigger and go in when we really have more than enough material to be salacious. And I'll speak for myself. I will support the boxers who are doing the right thing and the boxers that actually cater to the longevity of the sport. I'm gonna say it again. I cater to boxers who are doing the right thing, whose actions and activities will lead to the longevity of the sport. I'm not about pushing the envelope and tearing boxers down, detracting, degrading, berating these boxers for no reason. Sometimes if I don't have anything good to say, I won't say anything at all. But we got to think about that. If you part of a Latin fan base and you support one of these guys, don't alienate somebody just because they don't speak Spanish, or they're not Dominican, or they're not Puerto Rican, or they're not Mexican, you know, just because you are, and you want to divide that line. Because it's real funny how people that do that behave when they're quote unquote getting discriminated against in conversations, or being taken lightly or discounted because they're just, you know, part of that Latin fan base. This is food for thought. I would love your comments on it, and I just think that it's kind of disgusting. And, you know, the fact that I was really questioning myself, like, man, Mike, do you cut people off? Do you give people a chance? Like, do you have a hairpin trigger? And I was reminded that no, I don't. Because the host of the show and a couple other people got pissed off when this guy brought that up, and you can tell that they didn't like that kind of energy. But it's just something that you got to think about. Anyway, let me know what you think in my comment section. I would love to hear from you. Remember, this is those fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. And this is fact-based content, not opinion-based. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.